All right, in this tutorial, we're going to go over how to factor quadratic expressions where your a does not equal 1. So your a could be any positive or negative integer as long as it is not 1. Um, an extra thing that you have to do with these quadratic expressions at the beginning is you have to first find the a times c number, and that is what you are going to then be finding your factors of. In the last tutorial, I showed you using a t-chart how to find the factors of those numbers where you're multiplying to equal that, but then adding to equal your b. So for this time, you're finding something that multiplies to get your a times c number, but then you are still trying to find something that adds to equal your b term. Okay, so after you've found those list of factors to get your a times c number, then you have to split your b term into your factors that you've chosen. After you've split up your b term, you group in pairs using parentheses. After you've grouped them in parentheses, you're going to find the GCF and factor of both groups. And once you get to this step, you should have same terms in your parentheses. If you've gotten to this step and you do not have your same terms in your parentheses, go back and check because you've probably done something wrong, because the final step requires you to combine like terms, assuming that your like terms are the same in each parentheses. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do at the beginning in this example is to multiply our a times c. Now our a is 4 times negative 92 is going to give us a negative 368. This is the number that we're going to be finding our factors of. Now we have positives and we have negatives, so when we're looking for the factors, we have a 1 and a negative 368. We have a negative 1 and a 368. So anytime you're finding two numbers, one could be positive, one could be negative, and then you switch to get the other group. We've got a 2 and a negative 184, a negative 2, and a positive 184, since they're both even. None of these numbers add up to equal 88 yet. Then we have a 4 and a negative 92, and then a negative 4 and a positive 92, and this is actually the group that we're going to be looking at. Negative 4 and positive 92 added together to equal 88. 4 and 92 are the numbers, but if you choose the other group with a negative and a 92, that gives you a negative 88. So you're going to split up your b term, or instead of saying 88j, it's going to be a negative 4j plus 92j, and they could be in any order. You could put the 92 first, or you could put the 4 first, and then you're going to bring down your first term and your second term. So that your j squared and then your constant go down on the first and the last term. So you should be taking 3 terms, splitting up your middle one to get 4 terms total. That's step 1. Step 2 is to group in pairs using parentheses. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a parentheses around my first 2 terms and then draw parentheses around my second 2 terms. Then we're going to find the greatest common factor of each one of these parentheses and factor. So just between 4j squared and negative 4j, they both have a 4 and they both have a j in common that I can take out. I've taken out a 4 and I've taken out one of the j's, so that means I have 1 j left. I've taken out both the 4 and the j, so I have a negative 1 left. Common terms in the second one, they both have a 92, so I'm going to take out a positive 92. And the j is left and the negative 1 is left. Notice that right here, my terms are exactly the same, They're the same things in the parentheses. That's good. That means I'm doing it right so far. And all I have to do at the end is to combine the GCF terms together into their own set of parentheses, and then write down your term right there at the end. So your final factored quadratic is 4j plus 92, j minus 1. And again, those could be written in any order. It would really only be affected by the order that you write your b terms in, but that is the factored form of that quadratic. Now let's do the same thing here. We have 7x squared plus 98 plus 91. Now when we multiply those two terms together, 7 times 91, that is going to give us a 637, a little bit bigger of a number to work with. So when we're looking for our factors, they're only going to be positives. We don't have any negatives that we have to worry about, especially since our b term is going to be positive. So we're always going to be looking at positives. Now, if this b was negative, and we're getting a positive number here, we know that we have to add two negatives together to equal that number. So our first easy factors, 1 and 637. 2 is not a factor because it's not even. 3 is not a factor because you can't add it together. 7 and 91 because we multiplied those two things together. And what do you know? 7 plus 91 gives us that 98. So sometimes the easiest number is just the one that you multiply together to get it. Is going to also be the same one that you add to get it as well. So we're going to separate our 98x into a 7x and a 91x. Then we're going to bring down our a and our c terms separately. Let's group them up using parentheses. Greatest common factor between 7x squared and 7x. They both have a 7, they both have an x. So we've got an x plus 1 left over. 91x and 91, they both have a 91 left over. So I'm going to take out 91 as my GCF. X plus 1, again, we've got the same common parentheses. So when we combine like terms, the 7x and the 91 go together. And then your x plus 1 goes right there at the end.